Let me tell you, there's a special kind of stupid that comes up a mountain thinking they can snatch a man's home with a clipboard and a fake smile. That's how my last year started, and buddy, if you think it ended with a handshake, well, you're about to find out different. See, my story kicks off with 3 strangers at my front gate, all matching windbreakers, all acting like they were delivering good news when in reality, they were serving up pure bull. My grandfather's old cabin, stone and cedar, a rusted weather vane shaped like a bear spinning up top, had stood on this ridge since 1954. Hand-built, handed down, and now, after 2 decades fighting land fraud for the feds, it was finally mine to keep. My name's Derek Hunt, and I came up here for peace. I got war instead. First time back at the cabin for good, it felt like coming home after 100 years gone. Pines leaning in close, road winding like a secret, the whole place still carrying the echo of my grandfather's laugh. I'd left Sacramento, packed my life, signed that deed I'd dreamed about for decades, and rolled up with nothing but a battered old generator, a toolbox, and a bottle of bourbon older than some of my neighbors. You don't get up here by accident, and you sure as hell don't get up here uninvited. But 2 days in, just as I was tossing out rotten boards from the shed, knock, knock, knock. Not the friendly kind, but the kind that comes with matching clipboards and a sales pitch. 3 folks on the other side, the man a little too polished, both women channeling that HOA energy you only get from people who think their opinion is law. Afternoon, sir, we believe there's been a bit of a mix-up. Mix-up my ass. What's Summit Pines? I asked deadpan. Turns out, that's the community, a few miles down, all fresh paint and fake brick mailboxes. This parcel is part of our upper commons, the blonde says, sunglasses too big for her face. Ma'am, this house was built by hand before any of you were out of diapers, I tell her, and I have the deed signed in my grandfather's ink to prove it. Of course, they want me to vacate until the title discrepancies are cleared. Safety and liability concerns, you know. I laughed right in their faces and closed the gate. That night, I dug through every box I'd packed, tax records, old survey maps, even a topo with my granddad's notes in blue ink. All said the same thing. My land was grandfathered, carved out before Summit Pines was anything but dirt. Never annexed, never common, never theirs. Morning after, I spot a new crew, 3 younger folks in branded hoodies, one carrying a DSLR, snapping pictures like I was a trespassing raccoon. I open the window, tell them to smile pretty for the lawsuit, and sure enough they scatter. Then comes the wiry guy a little too eager. I'm Cole, compliance lead. Can I see your occupancy permit? I grin. You got a warrant? Or maybe a note from Jesus? He blinks, doesn't know what to do, says he'll escalate to the board. I watched them that night, flashlights flickering in the woods, poking around like they were the first to discover pine needles. I called the county. If they wanted a fight over land rights, I was more than ready. Fear isn't a thing that comes easy after you've spent 20 years arguing boundaries with everyone from oil execs to tribal lawyers. But I wasn't angry yet. That would come. Next day, just as I sit down on the porch, coffee hot, air sharp, here comes the white SUV. Out pops Mr. Polished, and now he's got a queen bee in tow. She's got the look of someone who's never missed a book club or a Botox appointment, and she's waving a folder at me like she's serving me a lawsuit and a lemonade. We're here to serve notice of your non-compliance. Lady, unless you have a time machine, your rules don't touch land deeded in 1954. She rattles off shared amenity and Section 4 of some charter. I ask to see it. She hands it over, and it's laughable, fonts all wrong, parcel ID with a typo, my house labeled Mountain Commons Shelter. A forgery, plain as day. You can contest that through proper channels, she says, snapping the folder shut. You want channels? You're about to get them, civil and criminal. I call my old colleague Gina, now a county land officer, and send her scans of everything. While I'm at it, I spot a convoy of HOA SUVs, another drone buzzing my roof. I march out, yell at them to bring the drone down before I shoot it down. Private property, private airspace. They get the message. By dusk, I've mounted extra cameras, floodlights, wildlife cams. If they wanted a show, I'd give them one. Gina calls back late. Derek, they filed a petition saying your place was abandoned, trying to claim it's reverted to community use. Is that possible? I ask. Only if nobody contests, and if it looks abandoned for 10 years. You've got enough evidence to nuke it, but you need to file a counter-motion in 72 hours. They were trying to steal my home with a PDF and a printer. My dog Murphy lays at my feet as I pour a bourbon and look out over the woods. These HOA jackals picked the wrong old man. I'd mapped disputed land from Idaho to Arizona, even argued in front of Congress. If it was war they wanted, it was war they'd get. Next morning, 3 sheriff's vehicles come rolling up. Flashing lights, officers jump out, looking like they're about to raid a meth lab. The younger one asks for ID. The older one flips through my folder, deeds, tax records, maps, a lifetime of ink. They want to know if I have legal proceedings underway. I nod, county land committee, counter motion filed, footage of trespass, everything. The old deputy hands my papers back. Looks in order. Before they leave, I can tell respect, maybe a little awe. I know I'm not out of the woods yet. I file my counter motion, receipts and all. But then, email from the county. Petition for emergency access to shared community shelter, hearing scheduled. They've changed tactics. Now they want a court order to inspect for public safety. Use my home's fake label as a loophole. If they get inside, it's game over. They'll plant evidence, claim violations. I prep for war. Back up all my footage, send copies to Gina, to my lawyer, to my own mother if I have to. I charge trail cams, gather tax records going back 15 years, lock down the cabin like it's Fort Knox. Courthouse day comes. The place smells like mildew and frustration. Judge is a tough woman, no patience for theater. Across from me, the Summit Pines board shows up in force. Their lawyer puts on a show, shared safety, community risk, even holds up a fake fire marshal report. Then out comes their map, laminated all lies. My turn. I hand over the deed history, notarized county statement, GPS-stamped wildlife footage showing their people trespassing, even one guy peeing behind my shed the day they filed for emergency access. Judge raises an eyebrow. Their lawyer objects, but the judge cuts him off. If they filed an emergency order while breaking state law, that's very relevant. I finish with Gina's letter confirming the parcel was could never be annexed. 10 minutes later, bang, gavel drops. HOA motion denied. Their map is under investigation. Further filings blocked unless county approves. Karen, Queen Bee, looks like someone stole her Lexus. But, you know what? People like Karen don't quit, they reload. 3 days later, a new envelope shows up. Corrected map, new fonts, new legend, seal from Ridgeline Boundary Group. Never heard of them. Gina checks, and it turns out Ridgeline's license lapsed 2 years ago, run out of a P.O. box, probably tied to a board member. These folks are ghost mapping. If nobody challenges it, their map seeps into public records, and suddenly my parcel is HOA on paper. I call Marcus, a private land consultant. He lays it out. They're not after your house, they're after the map. By the time you notice your tax status changes, you're getting HOA fees, and the law is stacked against you. I set up my own war room, maps, red string, every version of their lies taped to my wall. 2 days later, county inspectors show up, no warrant, circling my cabin with clipboards and a drone. I confront them, force them back to their truck, and call the sheriff. Turns out, the assessor's brother-in-law is on the HOA's advisory board. We'll force a review, Gina promises. Then the twist, Joanne, a 70-year-old widow, and Andre, a quiet coder, both own cabins up the slope. Turns out, their parcels have been targeted too. Delinquency notices, fraudulent overlays, and one already half lost to taxes. We meet, compare notes, and realize this isn't just about me. The HOA has been doing this for years, ghost mapping, taking parcels from folks who couldn't fight back. We file a joint injunction. Gina pushes it to the state. Suddenly, the county goes quiet. But we dig harder, public records, old HOA logs, and thanks to Joanne's librarian skills, a trove of digital evidence on an unsecured server. Turns out, Karen's been paying Ridgeline tens of thousands for parcel optimization. The scheme is bigger than we thought. Marcus uncovers the last link. Ridgeline's boss is a disgraced former county surveyor. Forged overlays, submitted privately, never reviewed by the county, but slipped into public databases by Karen's connections. Joanne gets a property review letter, Andre a back tax notice. We rush to the county, hand Gina our war room evidence. She smiles for the first time in weeks. Now we go nuclear. State investigators arrive, led by Ortega, a land fraud compliance officer with steel in her spine. HOA board shows up, tight-lipped, lawyering up, but Karen's nowhere to be seen. The evidence is overwhelming. Pattern fraud, forged documents, criminal conspiracy. 2 HOA board members are caught moving boxes of evidence. Ortega issues warrants. Karen, finally, releases a public statement, hiding behind community standards. But the mountain doesn't forget. And neither do I. That night, someone tries to cut my security wires. Murphy chases them off, and Ortega puts patrols on our properties. Courtroom day, more press, more tension. Karen finally appears, all pearls and pastel, but she's small now, not scary. The charges: conspiracy, forgery, property theft, obstruction, embezzlement. Ridgeline's payments are traced. USB drives reveal their full expansion plan. I testify. Every map, every forgery, every act laid bare. Joanne and Andre follow, calm, detailed, unbreakable. The judge doesn't need a break. HOA's dissolved. Assets frozen. Karen remanded without bail. Summit Pines gets a provisional council. No power, no taxes, no secrets. The mountain is finally quiet again. A few weeks later, the county's preservation officer walks my land. She confirms what I already knew. My parcel's protected now, heritage status, untouchable by developers or HOA wannabes. I hang a new sign: private property, EST 1954. Protected by Federal Land Act. Trespassers will be documented, reported, and publicly mocked. Murphy gives it his seal of approval, if you know what I mean. Joanne keeps her place. Andre wires up new cameras. The county sets up a restitution fund. Karen gets 10 years, no parole. Her mugshot makes the news, but she just looks tired. Gina gets promoted. Marcus and I swap Badland jokes. I teach a course at the local college now, Land Law 101, every class full. Sometimes I see a Subaru at the bottom of the trail, someone lost, or maybe looking for something worth fighting for. I wave, they wave back. Maybe next time, they'll know, out here, you don't mess with a man's home or his mountain. And hey, I'm curious, where do you draw the line? Ever had to fight for your home, or stood up when the odds were stacked? Drop your story down below, share your take, because one thing I learned up here: the fight for what's right is never really over.